every once in a while people are like, I want to specialize in divorces. I'm like, great. Have you been divorced? No, that's not really for you.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You
Totally.
can't create content. You can't create marketing. You can't create resonance without a personal story.
Yeah.
And you don't actually understand what those people are going through.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Level Up. Today, I am here with somebody that I think a lot of us already know, but I'm so excited to speak with her, and that is Jess Lenouvel. Jess is the founder of the Listings Lab. She is a podcaster, speaker, coach, mentor, all of the things. And I just love her approach to how to build your business in real estate. I follow along with a lot of the content you put out. So many people say so many great things about you. So thank you for being on today.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. So I reached out originally to talk a little bit about listing tiers, packages, that kind of thing. So I figured we can start with that
Sure.
and then maybe see where the conversation goes. So maybe if you want to start talking a little bit, explain what those are for us, because a lot of people in the group weren't too sure. So let's
Okay.
start with that.
Yeah, the way that I think about, especially from everything that I do is always from like a bit of like a marketing angle. So from the marketing side of things, I think that we're kind of past this idea, especially on the buyer side, that everyone is just kind of standard across the board charging the same thing. We're seeing the lawsuits that are happening in the States. Like there's a lot of stuff that is coming and is going to be in Canada and going to change in Canada in the next year or two. It's the way that things are going. And if you think about it, the way that I've always looked at it is the standard commission model in real estate doesn't actually truly make sense because there are agents who are literally providing like Chanel level service. And then there are also agents who are providing Walmart level service, and everyone's being paid the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that the idea of, and to a certain extent, like I don't think that it's necessarily wrong to think of it as price fixing, because it like that idea of like standardized commissions in today's day and age doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I think that when we're thinking about, okay, what is my actual service package? And so before I even talk about tiered pricing and before I even talk about having layers or levels of service, I think it's really important to talk about having a signature system or a signature service package that from a marketing standpoint, we're not just selling ourselves anymore, right? Because ultimately, if you sell yourself, your business is two things. It's not scalable and it's much harder to market.
Yeah.
And so the element of having a proven system or having a proven service that gets your clients ultimately where they want to be, it makes handoff of leads easier. It makes every part of your business a lot more functional. So I think that every other business, every other industry has a product or a service. And in real estate, we don't do that. We just, and so then what ends up happening is the general public truly believes that every agent just does the same thing. And then it doesn't matter if they use their cousin who just got their license 3 weeks ago, or, like the idea of excellence in the industry is lost in a lot of ways, just simply because of the way that we market.
Yeah, 100%. So when you're going into a listing presentation, for example, so from a seller side, those tiers, how can you best present those, or how do you start by creating something that you can bring to a consumer?
So I'm also, again, from a marketing standpoint, always starting with who are the clients.
Yeah.
So what demographic do they fit into? Have you done the market research to figure out, on trends, what are their pains, problems, fears, and desires? I think the idea of a listing presentation is very old school.
Yeah.
I think that, a lot of this is bound in like sales conversations now. And you may know nothing about these people going in, and therefore your sales skills have to be very high. Your language skills have to be very high in order to ask the right questions, to get the answers that you need in order to tailor on the fly what that signature system is going to look like for them and
Mm-hmm.
how it's going to, and really what, because I think that what ends up happening is agents go in and they talk at someone for 45 minutes. And then they're like, oh, I didn't get it. Well, how many, the best salespeople in the world ask 72 questions. And so, did you ask all of the right questions? Did you tailor what you were quote unquote selling them to their actual pains, problems, fears, and desires?
Right. Yes.
And I think all of it really just, again, it doesn't matter if you're selling a scarf or you're selling services. All basic sales is current situation, desired situation. And you have to know what those two things are on a very deep level. And I think that traditionally, up until let's say 2021, it's been very easy to sell real estate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that the skills that are going to be needed to really succeed at a high level moving forward are going to, I wouldn't say change, but the skills are going to have to be worked on.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And this is one of them. So, with that being said, the idea of the tiered system is okay, well, you have to have an idea of what the standardized system or the standardized, I would say standard, we call them signature systems or core service packages,
Yeah.
what that looks like for each niche or each,
Okay.
like
Okay.
each target demographic. So
Yeah.
let's say that you're going in and you're talking to young professionals who are looking to grow wealth through real estate. What are their pains? What's their current situation? What are the things that are going to, what are their end goals? What are the things that are going to be sexy to them during the conversation? What are
Mm-hmm.
the things that are going to be drawn to? And do you have things already like formalized or built out in your service package to allow them to do that? And that's really why I think, gone are the days where just you know, walk through,
Yeah.
declutter, bring in a stager, throw it on MLS, maybe do some really bad boosted Facebook
Yeah.
stuff. Like that's not going to cut it anymore,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
No,
Pete, there's too many
100%.
options.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah. And so when you're looking at doing this, that's a great first step is identifying the different niches, understanding, and on general perspective, obviously there might be some pivoting involved once you meet with that person
Of
because they
course.
might require different things. Now, are you bringing, obviously people like to feel and see the types of ideas that you're thinking
Mhm.
of. Do you have all of those options or examples of
Well,
that you're
you'll
bringing?
know what demographic kind of person you're meeting with
Yeah.
beforehand. So you
Mm-hmm.
come kind of armed with what you need, but I also, am a really big believer that if you have a signature system or a signature, core service,
Yeah.
that guide and that piece of marketing is given beforehand.
Okay.
Because I also think that
Yeah.
people make it so it also, and it depends on where this person came from. Did they come through a long-term nurture sequence in which they have built that know, like, and trust?
Mm.
Did they come from a referral? And a referral, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't actually think referral quality business is the highest quality business
Yeah.
because, I mean, someone said, okay, great, I worked with Sarah and you should work
Yeah.
with Sarah. But, at the same time, if they haven't built that know, like, and trust yet, they don't know you, they don't feel like they know you. What you want is to walk in the door and have someone like hug you and say,
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
following you for 3 months. Like I feel like I know you. This you probably get this all the time. Sorry if this is creepy.
How are your
How's your,
kids?
yeah, how are your kids? How's your dog?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like stuff like
Hmm.
that. You want the imbalance to actually be like the power imbalance to be in your favor. Whereas
Yes.
like traditionally what it's been on the seller's side.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, all of this, and it's hard to like kind of just pinpoint and take a slice out of something when everything, in my opinion, the success of all of this comes from how well that person has been taken through a psychological journey from stranger to client.
Hmm.
But once you actually get in the room and you're actually face to face, you want them to have had a certain level of education already. And if they're, let's say, like a referral, you want to have sent some marketing material and something in advance.
Right.
Because so often what happens is people give themselves 45 minutes to build trust, sell the process, sell the solution, go through the entire the entire process of what things are going to look like and get paperwork signed. It's a
Mhm.
lot to do in
Yeah,
45 minutes,
that's true. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And so, I mean, a lot of the time, what we're also looking for is we're looking for that person to essentially be sold by the time you get there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes it so much easier. And the conversation is just so much more natural because you're not feeling like you have to sell yourself. So you're right. And it's such a good point that, the marketing is also a component, the pre-marketing or how
Yeah.
much they know you ahead of time is so important. And how much we got a comment or a question on Facebook, how much of this is publicized to potential clients? Is this something that, you go on your website, a agent's website, for example, and they see the tiered
Yes.
packages?
They
Okay.
will, and I wouldn't necessarily put pricing on a
Okay.
website.
Yeah.
But what I would do is have, to have the layers built in there. To be perfectly honest, I think agent websites are not necessarily where we should be driving traffic.
Yes, yes.
I don't think
Yeah.
that people convert off of websites anymore.
Yeah.
And it always like pains me when I talk to an agent that's like, oh, I just spent $10,000 on my website. I'm like,
Mm.
oh, okay. Because I think I mean, again, it's very old school. It's funny for me to use the words old school because you know,
Especially when you call a website an old
it's
school.
still online, but
Yeah,
10
yeah.
years ago, would we have said like websites are old school? But yes, they kind of are now.
Mm.
Because we're not driving traffic there because people don't convert there.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to again keep attention and keep people, engaging and moving forward where it's very
Mm.
difficult to do, especially the way that Apple has changed things in the last couple of years.
Mhm.
So in terms of like us being able to track.
Yeah.
So because of that, a lot of it is going to be done through like individual marketing materials.
Okay.
And so, let's say that somebody, yes, has that conversation with you or, reaches out through social media bios, through, different ways that people can get in touch with you, through email campaigns and email nurture campaigns and all of that. People should be provided high value marketing material along the way.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
these guides are one of those things. Like for me, my listings lab guide, it's exactly the same concept. My listings lab guide is literally the entry point into my funnel.
Mm. Yeah.
And so when people come into the Facebook group, the first question that I ask is, have you read the guide?
Right.
It is literally the basis for everything that happens here.
Hmm.
And so it kind of is the same thing with a guide for an agent. We've got tons of agents in Toronto who will send the guide in advance of a listing presentation and we'll get a phone call that says, hey, I've read through this. No one else sent anything like this. We're ready to go.
Hmm. That's what you
Like you
want.
don't end up having to sit down and go through everything.
Yeah.
Um, and then also when someone comes to you, there's no commission haggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very different dynamic. So the way that I always look at this is like three tiers. Everyone will end up in the middle
Yeah.
psychologically. You will get the odd
Yeah,
person who does take the
yeah.
highest tier,
Okay.
right? But
Yeah.
again, we're price anchoring. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to necessarily take the cheapest option. If they do, that's fine.
Yeah.
But we've been teaching this for years, and we have agents who are charging 6, 7, 8%
Hmm.
on a listing and have been for the last 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But I think it's going to become even more common with everything that's happening in the States and everything that's kind of coming down the pipeline. So we are going to have to, on the buyer side, like on the listing side is going to be one thing in terms of like, it's pretty easy to standardize listing packages.
Yeah.
On the buying side, however, we
Yeah.
are going to have to be able to justify certain things because there are no matter what, how much we try as an industry, there will be people who just want the business and will undercut,
Mhm. Yeah.
especially when it stops being standardized. We've been
Yeah.
seeing this in certain demographics in certain areas for years. The 1% list, including staging. I don't know how these people are making any money,
No, I
right?
don't know either. Yeah.
So
Crazy.
again, it's one of those things that like we are going to have to, what's the word? essentially like validate what we're asking to be paid.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I think that that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, on the buy side, it's interesting because I think we're still in the infancy of
Yes.
that conversation in Canada, at least.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of us are listening to the all the issues in the States, and now that's come to Canada. Where do you see buyer commissions going? Do you see it becoming more of a cost that buyers are going to take on
Yeah.
themselves? Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, if you think about it, kind of makes sense, right?
Mhm.
And that our industry
I
has
mean,
kind of
technically buyers
been
have
in
been
it.
paying for it the whole time,
But we say it's free though to work
but
with
it's
us.
really not.
I know.
Right? And
Yeah.
so, I think that we've been using it as like a
Yeah.
marketing tool for so long that I think some agents actually start to believe it.
Yeah. I think
And
so.
and
Yeah.
realistically, if you look at like, you look at your statements when you buy a house, like you're paying
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really think that it's something that is a good thing for the industry because the people who don't do a great job
Mhm.
are really going to lose a lot of business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people
100%.
who are here doing a great job, thinking of this as a business, treating their business like a business, those are the people who are going to be able to adapt and
Mhm.
adopt
Yeah.
and really kind of grab up market share moving forward.
Mhm.
Um, I think that there's two sets of agents, and I don't mean to be a doomsdayer, but I think there's two types of agents that are really going to have to kind of step it up.
Yeah.
Um, One side is the technologically not inclined,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it's not something that you can just hire out. There's a
Yeah.
certain level of technology and proficiency that you are going to have to have.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, I may look younger than I am, but like I didn't grow up with a phone in my hand.
No, yeah, me neither.
When I got my license, I thought my big gray pager was like one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
So, I think that like that's one side of it. The other side is going to be people who have been in the business or who get in the business with this false sense, which has been for years, that real estate
Mhm.
is easy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And and I think maybe it falls the more technologically challenged individuals fall into this category more so, but it's also needing to adapt. And I think a lot of people are just so stuck in the ways it's always been. And it's like, and they can't even fathom another way. And I think those individuals, and I think the industry as a whole, is failing to listen to the consumer and what they want when it comes to their needs and how they want the service.
I agree. I think that there's a tremendous amount of, I mean, a part of it starts with like market research, and there's a
Yeah.
lack of market research, and there's a lack of really innovation in the industry.
Yeah.
And I think that the innovation part is going to be something that is going to be really, really important moving forward. We're
Hmm.
not going to be in a situation where everybody's business looks the same anymore, or
Yeah.
everybody's service packages look the same anymore. I'm really excited about it because I've been teaching this for years in
Yeah.
terms of like, how do you stand out? How do you create a unique value proposition? Well, you do
Hmm.
that through having a service package that caters specifically to the needs of the person that you're working with.
Hmm.
Um, but I also think that there's a tremendous amount of opportunity
Yeah.
when it comes to technology, sorry,
It's okay.
technology. And I think what's happening right now is agents haven't yet made the mindset shift. So things like tech and things like AI are being used in a lazy way
Yeah.
as opposed to in an innovative way.
Yeah.
So instead of actually like understanding who the target demographic is and what the pains and problems and the things that are going to bring someone and attract someone to a certain property, they're just throwing listing descriptions into ChatGPT and we're seeing how bad they are.
Yeah. Especially when
Right?
they copy, create, or written by ChatGPT.
100%. 100%. So we're seeing the lazy side of it
Yeah.
right
Hmm.
now. But I think that again, all of this is doing is it's opening up this door
Yeah.
to the people who are actually truly going to do this with excellence and who are going to learn how to use these tools in a way to make what they do and what they know even better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that that's great. And I think it's going to elevate the entire industry, and it's going to elevate the way that people look at us.
Yeah. Which is so important, which we need
We
desperately.
need.
We need that. Okay, so I'm thinking through the listing packages and it makes so much sense on the seller side, but I wonder if people have because I'm trying to wrap my head around the buyer side, because there's not as much physical attributes or services like staging and photography and all the things that we can offer. So what can that look like on the buyer side of things?
Let's say that the goal for this buyer is, they're a first-time investor,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the niche. First-time
Yeah.
investor looking to build wealth through real estate long-term. Um, it could be a complimentary plan to sit down with a wealth advisor that, you create a plan
Mm.
as a team. It
Okay.
could be, what does this look like in terms of how much equity you should have in your first property by what date, based on current rates, how much you'll be able to pull out and then reinvest into another property.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it looks like a whole plan where real estate is a piece of it, where you're buying board, you're also investing, through REITs or through boring businesses in terms of like, like things
Yep.
like laundromats and, self-storage and things like that, which is where I like to put my money.
Mm.
Right. I think that there's so many different ways to look at this and how real estate fits into the big picture. Let's say that you're a first time buyer and truthfully, you like this person that you're working with can't afford what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what does this look like in terms of like, what does the ladder look like to get them to where they ultimately want to be? What does the education process look like? And some of this is also going to be being able to, the selling yourself is also going to include case studies, testimonials,
Mm.
things like that are
Yep.
going to give social proof to the fact that you have created these kinds of results in other people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I think that so many agents go in tooting their own horn, how much volume that they sell, and the person who you're sitting across from doesn't care about that. They don't
No.
care about the awards that you've won. What they want to know is that you have specifically helped someone or like other people in their specific situation
Yeah.
get to where they want to be, and that those people were happy.
Yeah.
So from a buying standpoint, like yes, every single person's package should look a little different. I can give you an example. It's an American example, but I can give you an example. So we had someone go through the listings lab that was in New York, like Manhattan, and she only worked with really busy A-type women, like lawyers, accountants, people who were trying to make partner, very little time, but who were looking to buy essentially their first property, first condo, first whatever you want, the co-op, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So the problem that a lot of those people were running into is that at the time, stuff was moving really quickly. So by the time they actually, and these are A-type women, remember. So like
Mm-hmm.
these are people who like want to see everything, don't trust anyone, like want to look at like the details of
All the
everything.
details. Yeah.
And so by the time they actually made the time to go and see these properties, they were missing out on them.
Mm.
And so it was just this constant thing. And she was like, I have been working with some of these clients for 6, 8 months because every time there's one that I think is perfect, they're not moving fast enough because we
Mm.
have to look at 15 other places. So what we did is we built a signature system to address it. Meeting one was your typical must-haves would be nices,
Mm-hmm.
but then we ranked them. And there was a ranking system that we like created like a little algorithm for.
Oh, neat.
And so every week, and we automated it through Airtable, every week they would get, or however times a week that they wanted it, they would get a specific email that had a report, and it would rank the properties that were new on the market based on the must-haves and would-be nices.
Hmm.
And then they had an agreement, and it was in writing. Like they had an agreement
Yeah.
that once a week or twice a week, they would look at the top three only.
That's
And
awesome.
they loved it.
I
Her
bet.
business has exploded.
Wow. Yeah. That's
Her her business has completely exploded and she's known for it. She owns that space now because the amount of
Yeah.
referrals that she gets, she solved the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. She cracked the code. That's incredible. I mean, so I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing is that at least at the beginning, your signature system connects to the type of person you're looking
It
to
always has
attract.
to.
It always has to, because you can't be all things to all people. You can't create
The
like,
generalist is over
yeah,
in real
yeah,
estate. I'm
exactly.
here for all of your real estate needs. I can help you buy, sell,
Yeah.
rent, and invest from here to Timbuktu. It's over.
Shit. Yeah. Done.
You
Yeah.
have to be niche down in order to break through the noise. There's too many
Okay.
agents.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I know you preach that a lot, and I totally agree with you. I'm just thinking of the individuals that are thinking, oh my God, like how many signature systems and
No, no,
processes
no.
can I create?
You
You got to
literally need
create
like
it for your
one.
niche.
You
Yes.
need
Yes.
one. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think that the more that you lean into that, the more opportunity there actually is. And I say this to
100%.
people all the time. Let's say that I was like, I'm a business coach and I work with real estate agents and hair salons and any kind of business. Like if you're a lawyer or a CPA or you clean pools or I can help you. I wouldn't be here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
my business probably would have failed by now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you gotta keep it specific and be very intentional about the messages that you're putting out.
And the attention and the initial breakthrough the noise is just literally like step one.
Mm-hmm.
And then absolutely everything that you do before and after that all leads down to this person feeling like, oh my gosh, this is the only person who I resonate with,
Mm-hmm.
understands me. Like really good marketing is being, and I say this a lot, is being able to articulate what's in the back of your ideal client's head better than they can.
Yeah.
When you can
Yeah.
do that, they will automatically credit you with the solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it
100%.
all comes back to, yes, the ultimate thing that you're selling. And this is also a differentiation that's really important. Real estate agents don't sell real estate. They sell services
Mm-hmm.
and then they consult on the sale of real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
true.
it's really, really important to really nail the needs, the desires. Like most agents, I think right now with their marketing are only really speaking to the top 3% of the market who are ready to go like tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And the analogy that I like to use is like that's like going on a dating website for married people. That 3% at the very
Yeah.
top of your available human beings, that is people who already have agents,
Yeah.
the majority of them. And so so much of the like I have no one in my pipeline, I don't know where my next deal is coming from, I'm so stressed in my business comes from not actually understanding how to bring in people who are problem aware and maybe right on the verge of like starting to look for a solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you say to those agents? Because there's so many out there that struggle with identifying a niche or
Mhm.
bouncing from one to another. So
Who are you? What have you been through?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I some and the things that drive me crazy, luxury is not a niche.
Okay. Yeah.
Luxury is people that have money.
Mm.
And only in real estate have we ever thought that it was reasonable to like advertise ourselves as like I only work with people with money.
With rich people. Yeah.
I only
So
work with rich
true.
people, right? And so whenever anybody says I want to work in I'm in Florida or I'm in Toronto and I want to work only with luxury properties, I'm like, great, who's buying and selling those properties?
Mm-hmm. Who are the people? It's
Who
the
are the
people.
people? Are they
Yeah.
upsizing? Are they downsizing? Or who are they?
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, then we can identify what the actual niche is. I think also, if you have every once in a while, people are like, I want to specialize in divorces. I'm like, great. Have you been divorced? No, that's not really for you.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You
Totally.
can't create content. You can't create marketing. You can't create resonance without a
Mm-hmm.
personal story.
Yeah.
And you don't actually understand what those people are going through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
And
so true.
so, upsizing down. So let's like the typical upsizing, downsizing, first time buyers, first time investors, seasoned investors are two different niches.
Mm-hmm.
The service
Yeah.
package and the messaging from a first time investor to a seasoned investor, very different.
So true.
The
Yeah.
needs are very different.
Yeah.
Any community, the LGBTQ plus community, if you belong to that community,
Yeah,
right?
so
Like,
true. How awkward would that
um,
be? Yeah, no,
people do
that's
it. I mean,
yeah.
um, and so sometimes too, people are like, oh, I want to work with downsizers or seniors, but they're not on Facebook or they're
Mm,
not on social media. Their kids are,
yeah. And those are the
right? And
ones that
who's
are,
ultimately at that point making the most of the decisions? Their kids.
yeah.
So I think that like there's these blockers in terms of how we're actually thinking through who we want to actually work with and who we want to target. I had
Hmm.
someone the other day in the States who was like, I think that I want to work with foreclosures. Like, I think that's going to be the easiest. I'm like, do
Mm,
you want to have an entire business full of people in the worst times of their lives?
mm, yeah, that's pretty depressing.
And it's and that's a legitimate question. And if the answer is yes, fine.
Hmm.
But the other thing too is it is also very difficult to long term nurture foreclosures because 6 months ago, those people weren't planning to foreclose.
Yeah. No, that's a good
So how do you want this to look? How do you want your business to grow? Your repeat and referral business won't change.
point. Hmm.
You will always have that, and that
Yeah.
won't change. And you are not
Yeah.
going to be turning people away from your repeat and referral business, but you have the ability to bring an entire new arm of business in.
Yeah. That's such a
So,
good point.
and with like what we're talking about, even just social media marketing with no paid traffic, no paid marketing, if it's done well, your messaging is good, your niche is good, your signature system is nailed really down really well. The average person who really does this well is going to add somewhere between 3 and 6 deals a month
Hmm.
inbound from social media alone.
Yeah.
And so when people are like, oh, well, I've been doing general messaging and posting just listed, just sold for the last year, and I got 3 deals from it. And I'm like, great, we're not having the same conversation.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about 3 deals a year.
Right.
I'm talking about 3 deals a month.
Yeah. So much more
So
consistent.
if you're looking to have 3 deals a year, continue doing what you're doing.
Hmm.
If you want to build out and exponentially grow your business through digital marketing, it's a different process, and you have to think like a marketer.
Yeah. Totally. What are your, like, do you have a few top social media posts that you absolutely hate and then few that
Oh,
you
a
absolutely
hundred
love?
percent. One hundred
What are
percent I do.
those?
Also, if you're watching this for the first time or you're listening to this for the first time, I'm an extremely direct person. So please
Amazing
don't be
though.
offended
Yeah.
by anything I
No,
say.
no, no. I love it. I
um,
love it.
yeah, so um I hate just listed, just sold content. I think that it's showing people that you have business in order to get more business, which doesn't make sense. The way that you promote a listing and the way that you grow your business are very different. Social media is a social network.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yes.
billboard.
Yes.
And so many agents
Such
are
a good
using
quote.
it as a billboard, and that's not what it's intended for. And that's why it's not working the way that you want it to work. I think that there's other ways and other places that you promote listings. Um, so just listed, just sold, under, coming soon, under contract, like that kind of stuff. I hate it.
Yeah.
I think that it's the, oh, I'm so grateful to my clients that I just won this award. The humble brag drives me mental.
The
I'm like,
Diamond
really?
Award,
Like,
the Diamond Gold Platinum
yeah.
Award.
And so many brokerages are doing the disservice of like providing these like pre-designed tiles to people.
Yeah.
And like, it's just, to me, it's cringy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else? What else is the worst? Um,
I'm trying to think. I mean,
there's
the
so
just
like
sold,
I would
just
say
listed.
like
Yeah.
the majority of what an agent who doesn't know anything about social media posts or copies, because so
Hmm.
many agents are copying people who are doing it badly,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so and it's too bad because real estate's one of the only industries where you can get into the business and not have to learn anything about business and marketing.
Mm, yeah. So true. They don't
Right.
teach you
and
that.
and the
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate, like when you go through the licensing process. I mean, I know it's changed since I got licensed, but basically all I learned was how not to get sued.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah. No, there's no
And
business building. There's no, yeah,
no.
yeah,
And if there was, I guarantee it would be super antiquated.
yeah, exactly. You probably wouldn't even want to,
You wouldn't even want to listen
want
to
to,
it
don't want to go
anyway.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I said something on a training the other day, and I think it really landed. The millionaires in real estate, the people who have seven-figure businesses are not the best agents.
Mm.
They're the best marketers.
Hmm.
And I think that is that fair? No.
Yeah.
Is that like right? No. But it's the reality of like the world that we live in is that you don't have to be the best at what you do. Unfortunately, you have to be the best marketer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you're both, no one can stop you.
Yeah. 100%. So you talk a lot about, I know you talk a lot about case studies,
Yes.
and I love those. What can you explain to people what those are and how you can put those out there for social media?
Yeah. So the reason I love case studies is case studies encompasses so much that makes good marketing. So the example that I always use is HGTV,
Mm,
right? Everyone at some point has gotten pulled into some HGTV show,
yeah.
and it is an entire network of case studies. What you're doing is you're living vicariously through the people that you're watching.
Mm.
When I moved from Toronto to the Bahamas, I watched every Bahamas Life episode that I could find because I was
Yeah.
like, literally, what I was doing through the process was, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm actually
Very
really
true.
good friends with someone who was on season 2, episode 1 of Bahamas Life.
Ooh,
Like she and I are like really, really tight now.
awesome.
And it's so funny because the first time I met her, I was like, I know your voice. And she was like, Bahamas Life.
Oh,
Um, but it's the same idea, right? It encompasses storytelling,
yeah.
and it's talking about the journey that your client was taken on and your services and how they got them from where they wanted to be to
Yeah.
from where they were to where they wanted to be, and how you essentially were the guide and the bridge through the process without ever having to rely on the real estate agent humble brag,
Yeah.
right? Without saying I'm so great, because you're telling this story. And the idea behind any marketing is to create resonance.
Hmm.
And so, what you're like, if you choose your case studies well, someone reading it will say, oh my gosh, that's exactly where I am now. That's exactly, they feel like literally you're talking to them.
Mm, yeah.
And they're like, that's how I feel. That's what I'm thinking. That's what's going through my head right now. Oh my gosh. And then at the end of the post, you're talking about where this person ended up and what their life looks like now. People
Hmm.
don't move because it's fun.
Yeah.
Right? We move because there's something in our current situation that we want to change, or we think that our lives will be better if we move, whether it's school district, whether it's number of bathrooms, whether it's, your house is old and you're like, I'm over having to like constantly work on it and I want a new house. There's so many different reasons why people move, but that's what, again, why you have to have a niche. Otherwise, none of your case studies will resonate with anybody in your audience.
Yeah.
And so it's really important that you tell the story. When I met Sam and Sally,
Hmm.
they were newly married and they, didn't think that they could afford to buy a house. And, you know, for the first time in their lives, they had like a dual income, but interest rates had just gone up, and these were their concerns. And but this is where they were, and this is where they ultimately wanted to be, and this is how we got them there.
Hmm. Yeah. And how does that translate into social? Is it like a carousel post? Is it a written post, video,
You can do it in
anything?
a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I would say, yes, the answer is yes to all of that.
All of the above.
You
Yeah.
can do it through a carousel. You can do it through a long form piece of written content. You can do it through a long form piece of written content and a video.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So the storytelling aspect is so important because people don't. Oh, okay. I remembered the other thing that I hate.
Give it to us.
It's the market research, like the market research infographics
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
with the
Okay.
arrows.
Okay.
That drives me mental. I'm like, this is literally just, here's the data for an entire geographic area that has
Mm,
no micro markets in it. It's not
right.
accurate for anybody who's looking for anything.
Yeah.
You probably didn't create it.
Yeah. It was a brokerage or
And there's
created,
no,
yeah.
the whole idea of showing up as an expert is being able to disseminate and
Yes.
also interpret information.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people who do market reports really well are people who answer the question through a video or through a post. Here's what this means for you.
Yeah.
And is they're breaking the data down into micro markets.
I've seen posts like that more in the States, but like a micro market report. And I think that's brilliant. Cause so it would be like a specific community in a bigger
Like
city kind of thing.
the greater Toronto area.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
here's the market for report for Treb.
Yeah.
That is
That's
relevant
not
to
helpful.
no human being. No one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because what's happening in Burlington is not the same. That's of what
Yeah.
the market is completely different than what's happening in Leslieville.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Exactly.
doesn't make any sense. And so I think what ends up happening is it actually does damage because people are like, well, or it becomes noise and people
Mm-hmm.
just scroll past it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I agree with that. Yeah. Okay. I want to respect your time. I just want to go back to one quick question on
Yes.
the packages tiers in
Yes.
terms of commission. I know you said you're not,
Mhm.
putting it out there, but is it just obviously you just have to have a firm understanding of, this is what this type of package costs, this
Yeah,
cost,
I
that
mean, I
cost kind of
think to be
thing?
perfectly honest, I think that the general market right now is used to paying a certain amount.
Yeah.
So I think we're at least for the next little while, we're still going to end up kind of in there,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Okay.
It's not going to
Yeah.
all of a sudden be half a point or 10 points,
Right.
right? It's going to
Yeah.
be, we're still going
In
to
that
end up in and
range.
around the same area, but you know, you might have something that's 1.5, you might have something that's 2.5, you might have something that's 3.5,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And you chances are if you do that well and you seed them properly and you understand how to kind of explain and sell them, you're going to end up at the 2.5.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. No,
It's
that
just a
makes
little bit
total
more work on
sense.
the front end.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, to me, from a consumer standpoint, I mean, I'm a little bit jaded because I'm in the industry, but like if an agent's coming in and presenting those versus an agent that just says, here's one option and this is what I do, like, who are you going to choose? Of course, you're going to choose the one that provides like, all of these different
More,
options to
yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah,
And can explain it well. So
100%. And the more that they can explain and understand and create resonance with the person that they're talking to, people make decisions based on emotion
yeah.
first. So that emotional connection, it doesn't matter if you're half a point more than this other guy who made that person feel small.
Hmm. Yeah.
If you can really create connection, and the connection isn't just, oh, we both have dogs named Charlie. It's got to be like a lot more kind of in depth in terms of, wow, I really felt like that person listened to me, and I
Yeah.
really felt like they really understood why I was doing this and like what my goals were and things like that.
Yeah. It comes down to treating them like people,
100%.
not it's the relationships.
Every lead has a heartbeat. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter, cold lead, hot lead, referral, it doesn't matter. I
Mhm.
hate the word lead because
Yeah.
it immediately people stop having faces.
Mm. Yeah. 100%. Amazing. It was
Thank
so
you.
great to talk to you. We have so many hearts and claps and everything in the Facebook group, and I know everybody's going to enjoy. It's going to become our podcast episode in a couple weeks, so make sure to
Awesome.
listen again. Thank you again. Appreciate your
Anytime.
time. Yeah, and we'll chat soon.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Jess.
Level up, level up, level up.